Bruce Lee stood 3 feet from a clenched fist. Someone counted down under their breath. 5. His heel slid half an inch on the canvas. 4. A shoulder rolled forward. A breath caught. 3. The 280-pound champion stepped inside arm's reach. Crowd noise folding inward. Heat rising off bodies packed too close. Bruce did not lift his hands. 2. Behind him, a second figure shifted. A shoe scraped. 1. The bell had not even finished ringing when Bruce felt the pressure change in the room. Not fear, expectation. Everyone thought they knew what was coming next. They thought size would decide it. They thought strength would end it. They were already leaning forward in their seats. And then Bruce did something so quiet, so restrained, that the entire arena hesitated. Wait, what? The timer started before anyone touched. A ringside official raised 2 fingers. 2 minutes. Not for the match, for Bruce Lee to prove he belonged in the ring. If he could not, the promoter would stop it in front of everyone, and the crowd would get its refund. The champion stepped forward like a wall, moving. Mara Stonehand Kessler, 6 feet tall, 280 pounds, a champion built on pressure and public certainty. She did not look angry. She looked certain. She leaned close enough that Bruce could smell peppermint and sweat. 30 seconds, she said, loud for the front rows. Then you tap. A laugh rolled through the lower seats. Bruce did not answer. He stood side-on, calm in his face, but his feet adjusted in small, precise half steps. His heel found a dry patch of canvas. His toes lifted once, then settled. That was the first thing the crowd missed. The second thing was behind him. A man in a staff jacket drifted along the apron, not watching the ring, watching Bruce. His hand hovered near a metal bell hammer. No reason, just there. A threat that did not need words. The referee called them in. No striking, submission only, tap or verbal. The champion nodded before the sentence ended. Bruce nodded after it ended. The bell rang. Mara moved immediately, closing the 3 feet like it was nothing. Her forearm came across, not a strike, a frame meant to crush space. Bruce shifted his shoulder and gave her an angle that looked like retreat. From the seats it looked like fear. It was not, it was math. He let her think the ring was smaller than it was. She chased the illusion. The crowd leaned forward together, a single animal breath. You could hear the rub of jackets, the squeak of shoes on concrete, someone's drink cup crumple in a nervous grip. Mara reached for his waist. Bruce felt the weight of her hands before they fully landed. He turned his hips. Late, too late. Her grip closed. His balance broke for a fraction. His breath caught. That fraction was enough. She drove him backward with a steady shove, steering him toward the corner where the ropes met, and the cameras waited. Bruce's shoulder brushed the top rope. His neck tightened as her chest pressed in. A single whisper came from the second row. He is stuck. Mara smiled into his ear. Now, she said. In the same moment, the staff man on the apron lifted the bell hammer slightly, like he was ready to end it with sound. Bruce did not look at him. Bruce did not look at the crowd. He looked at Mara Sip's elbow. And he stopped moving. Not frozen, listening. A pause so clean the arena felt it. Mara tightened, expecting panic. Bruce exhaled once, slow, controlled. Then his foot slid outward an inch, just enough. And the pressure in the ring shifted in a way nobody could name yet. The crowd did not understand what they had just seen. They only felt it. A subtle change in air pressure. A hesitation that moved through the lower rows like a quiet ripple. From the seats, it looked like Bruce Lee had stopped fighting. From inside the ring, it felt like the floor itself had shifted. Mara reset her stance, annoyed now. Not angry, not yet. Her confidence was still intact, but it had developed a hairline crack. She widened her base and circled, testing him with short steps, forcing Bruce to keep moving. Her shadow swallowed his. You could hear her breathing over the house speakers, slow, controlled. She had done this 1,000 times. Bruce stayed light, shoulders loose, eyes steady. He did not rush. He did not reach. He let her take space and watched how she filled it. A man 2 rows back leaned forward until his elbows hit his knees. Someone near the aisle whispered, "She is too big." Bruce brushed the rope with his fingertips and turned away from it, keeping open floor behind him. His foot scraped once on the canvas. He corrected immediately. Mara noticed. She stepped in again, this time lower. Her shoulder drove toward his ribs, trying to collapse his posture. Bruce rotated late on purpose, allowing contact across his side. The impact pushed air out of his lungs in a sharp, audible burst. For half a second, he staggered. Not far, just enough. The crowd reacted as one. A collective intake. Mara surged, sensing weakness, wrapping her arms around his midsection and lifting his heels barely off the mat. Bruce's spine tightened. His jaw set, the pressure climbed fast, her forearms locking like steel bands. This was her world. Close, heavy, unforgiving. The referee leaned closer. From the audience you could see Bruce's shoulder blades compress. You could hear the champion grunt as she squeezed. Someone shouted for him to tap. Someone else laughed. Behind them, the staff man on the apron shifted his weight and glanced at the clock mounted above the entry tunnel. 1 minute gone. Bruce did not fight the hold. He did not push back. He sank. His hips dropped. His legs widened. His chest softened. Mara frowned, confused by the sudden change in resistance. What she expected to feel was panic. What she felt instead was weight, not muscle, structure. Her arms tightened instinctively. Bruce Sepp's breathing stayed slow. He tilted his head just enough to create a sliver of space at his throat. The arena grew quieter, not silent. Listening, Mara adjusted her grip to crush harder. And in that adjustment, she gave him something she did not realize she had offered: time. Mara, Stonehand Kessler, had built her career on moments exactly like this. Close contact, crowd noise, someone smaller trapped against her body. She had grown up in places where strength was not optional. Early mornings hauling feed, afternoons dragging equipment across concrete floors, evenings spent in gyms that smelled like iron and disinfectant. Her hands learned pressure before they learned finesse. Her shoulders learned to drive forward before they learned to rest. People did not beat Mara by overpowering her. They broke first. That was the pattern. She squeezed again, harder now, testing Bruce's ribs, expecting to feel him fold. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes flicked once toward the referee, then back to Bruce's face, waiting for the signal she had seen hundreds of times before. Nothing. Bruce Sepp's expression did not change. His arms were not straining. His neck was not craning. He was not searching for escape. He was listening. From the seats, it looked unreal. The size difference was obscene. Mara's forearms wrapped almost completely around Bruce's torso. His feet barely touched the mat. The big screen above the ring caught the contrast in brutal detail, the camera angle making him look even smaller. A woman in the upper section shook her head slowly. "He cannot breathe," she said to no one. Mara felt Bruce's weight settle downward through her grip. Her calves flexed as she compensated. Her stance widened another inch. Sweat began to bead along her hairline. This was supposed to be over. She shifted her hands slightly higher, trying to elevate his chest so she could collapse his lungs. That was when Bruce moved. Not fast, not dramatic. He rolled one shoulder inward and let his hips rotate a few degrees. His left foot slid back, tracing a quiet arc on the canvas, his spine aligned. The pressure inside Mara Sepp's hold changed. She did not understand why. She only knew that suddenly Bruce felt heavier, not in pounds, in balance. Her arms started to burn. She adjusted again, frustration creeping into her face now, pulling at the corners of her mouth. She tried to muscle him upward, to reset the position, to reclaim the dominance she was used to. Bruce exhaled slowly. His breath brushed her collarbone. From the crowd's perspective, nothing had happened yet. But inside Mara's body, certainty was beginning to loosen. A low murmur spread through the lower rows. Someone stopped cheering. The referee shifted closer. And for the first time since the bell rang, Mara's eyes showed something new. Not anger, concern. She tightened her grip one more time. And Bruce waited. Mara tried to reset the moment by force. She took 2 heavy steps forward and drove Bruce towards center ring, refusing to let him settle. Her breathing was louder now, shorter. She bounced once on the balls of her feet, then surged again, turning her shoulder into his chest and attempting to steer him into another clinch. Bruce absorbed the contact and pivoted late, letting her momentum slide past his ribs. Her forearm scraped across his side. His back brushed open air. For a split second, he was free. The crowd reacted too early. Mara recovered faster than expected and hooked his arm, pulling him back into her frame. Her thigh blocked his leg. Bruce's balance wavered. Not much. Enough. His foot skidded. The sound of canvas under rubber cut through the noise. From the third row, you could see Bruce's jaw tighten. Mara capitalized immediately, wrapping him again and driving him toward the ropes. The referee barked a warning about holding too long against the cable. She ignored it and leaned harder, pressing Bruce's shoulder into the top strand. The rope flexed. Bruce Epps' neck bent. Behind them, a man in a blazer stepped out from the tunnel and spoke into a handheld radio. Security shifted near the stairs. Something had changed off camera. The audience felt it before they understood it. A new tension. A woman covered her mouth. The referee forced separation. Mara backed away one step, arms wide, inviting Bruce to come forward. She smiled now, the way fighters smile when they believe the end is close. "Come on," she said. Bruce stepped in. Immediately, no hesitation. That surprised her. She reached low, trying to scoop his leg while driving her shoulder upward. Bruce's weight shifted backward at the wrong time. Her grip closed around his thigh. For a moment, she had him on one foot. The arena rose. Bruce Epps' hands touched the mat, not fully, just fingertips. His head dipped. That was the near fall, the point where gravity almost chose a side. Mara heaved, trying to complete the takedown, her face tightening with effort. Bruce planted his free foot, twisted his hips, and slipped his leg out at the last second. He spun away, breath sharp in his chest, and created space with a small push against her shoulder. They separated. Barely. Bruce stood upright again. The crowd exhaled. Somebody laughed in disbelief. Somebody swore. Mara wiped sweat from her eyes and shook out her arms, irritation flashing across her face. Her confidence was still there, but now it had edges. She circled. Bruce circled. Above them, the clock ticked. And then the unexpected escalation arrived. The referee leaned in and announced a rule adjustment for stalling. 30-second engagement intervals. No extended breaks. Mara nodded. Bruce nodded. The pressure doubled. The new interval rule changed everything. Mara did not waste a second. She stepped in hard, chest forward, arms wide, forcing Bruce to react instead of observe. Her shoulders slammed into his sternum and drove him backward 2 steps. Bruce caught himself, but the impact rattled through his ribs and up into his throat. His breath came out sharper than he wanted. The crowd felt it. You could hear seats creak as people leaned closer. Mara wrapped him again, this time higher, pinning one of his arms against his body and lifting just enough to steal his base. Bruce tried to widen his stance, but her thigh blocked his leg and her weight pressed straight through his center. This was not finesse. This was collapse pressure. Bruce Epps' back curved. His neck bent. For a moment, he could not fully expand his lungs. From the audience, it looked like she had finally broken him. The referee crouched low, eyes locked on Bruce's face. Someone in the front row shouted his name. A man behind the barrier raised his hands as if willing Bruce to move. Mara felt it too. The shift. She leaned in harder, grinding her forearm into Bruce's upper chest and walking him sideways toward the ropes. Her breathing had turned ragged now, frustration leaking into every movement. "You feel that?" she whispered. Bruce did not answer. His foot slipped half an inch. That was the near failure. His balance broke just enough for Mara to surge, lifting and twisting, trying to dump him to the mat. Bruce caught the rope with the back of his hand, not gripping, just brushing, using it to steady his fall. His shoulder hit the canvas, not flat, but close, close enough that the arena gasped. For 2 seconds, Bruce was underneath her weight, pinned at an angle with Mara's chest pressing down, and her arms cinched tight around his upper body. His breathing narrowed, his vision tunneled slightly at the edges. This was the moment everyone expected the tap. Mara planted her knees and drove forward, face tight with effort, ready to finish it with raw pressure. Bruce felt the floor through his spine. He felt the heat of her body. He felt the clock. And then he made a decision, not with speed, with placement. He relaxed his upper body instead of fighting it, letting her weight settle fully onto him. His hips shifted just a few degrees. His trapped arms slid free enough to frame against her collarbone. His legs repositioned under her center. From the seats, it looked like nothing. Inside the hold, everything changed. Mara leaned in for the crush. Bruce waited. Mara committed to the finish. She drove her weight forward, trying to flatten Bruce completely, pressing her chest into his and forcing his shoulders deeper into the canvas. Her hands locked, her jaw clenched. She expected resistance. She got cooperation. Bruce did not push. He did not buck. He let her settle. That was the mistake. He shifted his hips first, a quiet rotation that changed the angle of her base. At the same time, he slid his outside leg inward and planted his heel against the mat. His framed arm rose just enough to redirect her shoulder. Not shove, redirect. From the audience, it looked like a small adjustment. From inside Mara's body, it felt like the floor tilted. Her weight moved forward when it needed to stay centered. Bruce followed that movement with his entire structure. He rolled onto his side, guiding her momentum instead of resisting it, and slipped behind her in one continuous motion. His legs threaded around her torso as she tried to post a hand and failed. His chest connected to her back. His forearm found space beneath her chin. The reversal took less than 2 seconds. The arena went silent. Not shocked silence, listening silence. Mara froze for half a breath, confused by how quickly the world had flipped. She tried to stand, planting one foot and then the other, but Bruce's leg position collapsed her attempts before they began. Every time she shifted, he moved with her. Every time she tried to rise, his hips followed. She reached back, searching for his head. Her fingers brushed air. Bruce tightened the position, not with force, with alignment. His chest pressed into her spine. His forearm closed gently but completely. His free hand locked behind her shoulder. His legs squeezed inward, controlling her hips and denying her leverage. Mara inhaled sharply. Then again, her breath started to shorten. She tried to peel his arm away, but the angle made it impossible to get a grip. She tried to roll, but Bruce rolled with her. She tried to arch backward, but his weight stayed connected. From the crowd, you could see her shoulders rising and falling faster now. Her movements lost their rhythm. The confidence that had carried her through the first minutes drained out through her fingertips. Her vision narrowed. The edges of the arena softened. She felt pressure in her temples. Her coach shouted something from ringside, but the words did not land. Bruce stayed quiet. His face was calm. His breathing was steady. He did not rush the moment. He waited for her body to understand what her mind had not yet accepted. Mara tapped once. Hard. She tapped again. Then a third time, flat palm against the canvas. The referee was already moving. He waved his arms and stepped in. Bruce released immediately. He shifted backward, giving her space, and placed a hand on her shoulder as she sat up, making sure she did not tip over. The clock overhead read 30 seconds since the reversal. The arena erupted. Some people cheered. Some people stood frozen. Mara sat on the mat, staring at the floor, chest heaving, hands trembling slightly as blood rushed back into her face. Bruce remained beside her, steady, present, not celebrating, waiting. Mara did not stand right away. She stayed seated on the canvas, one hand braced behind her, the other resting against her own throat. Her breathing was uneven, pulling in too much air and then letting it spill out in short bursts. Sweat dripped from the tip of her nose onto the mat. Around her, the noise felt distant. Applause rolled in waves. Some people were shouting. Others were quiet, trying to make sense of what they had just witnessed. From the lower rows, you could see her eyes searching for something familiar. Her coach stepped onto the apron, speaking quickly, but Mara barely registered it. Her shoulders slumped forward, the weight of the moment settling into her posture. Bruce remained close, not looming, not retreating. He waited until her breathing slowed, then extended his hand. She stared at it for a long second. This was not part of her script. She had entered the ring expecting dominance, expecting another body to fold under her pressure. Instead, she had felt control slip away without violence, without force, without anger. She took Bruce Sepp's hand. He helped her up slowly, making sure her balance was steady before letting go. The crowd saw that. A few people stopped cheering. Someone in the third row nodded once. The announcer asked for a microphone. Mara waved it away at first, then changed her mind and took it with a shaky grip. "I thought I had him," she said, voice still rough. "I felt him break, and then, I don't sit no." It was like the ground moved. She swallowed. "I have never felt anything like that." Her eyes lifted to Bruce. He inclined his head just slightly. When Bruce spoke, his voice was calm, almost quiet against the echo of the arena. "You are very strong," he said. "You committed fully. That takes courage. But strength must travel through balance. When balance changes, everything changes. No boast, no lesson, just a statement." Mara nodded slowly, absorbing it. The humiliation came later, not in words, in glances, in the way a few fans turned away, in the silence from parts of the crowd that had been loud minutes earlier. Her confidence had not shattered. It had collapsed inward. Backstage, cameras caught her sitting alone on a bench, elbows on knees, staring at her taped hands. She flexed her fingers, then pressed them together, replaying the moment in her mind. Bruce walked past once, on his way out. He stopped. He placed a small towel beside her. She looked up. He was already moving away. That was it. No lecture, no victory lap, just presence, then absence. And Mara stayed there long after the arena began to empty, breathing slowing, thoughts rearranging, something permanent shifting under the surface. The arena emptied in layers, first the loud ones, then the confused, then the people who stayed seated longer than they needed to, staring at the mat like it might explain itself. By the time Mara finally walked back through the curtain, the hallway lights had dimmed and the air smelled like disinfectant and old sweat. Her coach spoke quietly beside her, offering reassurance, replaying the sequence out loud, pointing out where she had been strong. She nodded, but she was not listening. Her body still remembered the feeling of control leaving her. Not violently, gently. She showered alone that night, let the water run too long, pressed her forehead against the tile and closed her eyes. Over and over she replayed the moment Bruce shifted beneath her, the way her weight had suddenly betrayed her, the way the room had gone quiet. Back in her hotel room, she wrapped ice around her neck and sat on the edge of the bed with her elbows on her knees. She opened her notebook. She wrote 3 words: balance before force. The next morning, she called a gym she had never considered before. Not wrestling, submission grappling. She did not announce it publicly. She did not frame it as reinvention. She simply showed up, stood on unfamiliar mats and asked to learn how to breathe under pressure. Weeks later, footage surfaced of her drilling escapes with fighters half her size, listening more than speaking, letting herself fail in small private ways. The humiliation had not broken her. It had redirected her. Bruce did not stay in town. He declined interviews. He did not comment on the result. He took an early flight and went back to his quiet routines, back to training rooms where mirrors reflected discipline instead of applause. When asked later about the match, he said only that everyone learns something when they are willing to be still long enough. He donated his appearance fee as promised. No press release, no ceremony, just a receipt and a thank you note. Years afterward, Mara would tell young fighters about that night, not as a loss, as a turning point. She would describe the silence more than the submission, the way the crowd changed, the way Bruce helped her up before anyone else reached her. She said that was the moment she understood that power did not have to announce itself. Sometimes it simply waits and lets you discover it.